Welcome to the Post Credits Podcast, where we are taking a walk down the Long 15 as we navigate the next two episodes of Fallout Season 2. I'm Logan.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Max.
And yes, this is the second episode of The End Times New Vegas, our review of Season 2 of Fallout.
Yes, very, very exciting. After this one, we'll be, I think, halfway through the season, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. That is exciting. We reviewed the first two episodes on the previous episode of the podcast, The Innovator and the Golden Rule. Today, we will be doing Episode 3 and Episode 4. That is The Profligate and The Demon in the Snow.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, as well as in the first episode, we do have a recap of season 1 as well. So be sure to check that out along with our reviews of episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah, so naturally we will be referring to these episodes, assuming that you have seen the first two episodes of Season 2 and also the entirety of Season 1. We will be spoiling those as well as spoiling Episode 3 and 4 of Fallout. Yeah, what were our predictions coming into Episode 3, do we think? Given the ending of Episode 2. And if you don't remember, Episode 2 ended with the ghoul kind of abandoned in a discount hospital. Lucy had been taken in by Caesar's Legion, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
And a paladin from the Commonwealth, played by Kumail Nanjiani, had shown up to Maximus's chapter of the Brotherhood as they were discussing a potential civil war.
Right. So my predictions going forward from that point, I didn't really know much about what they would do with the Brotherhood storyline, but I kind of predicted in my head that they would go back to either one of the vaults, 31 or 33, and check up on how they were doing, essentially, because we hadn't seen them for a while, except for maybe the one scene with Norm dragging all the 31 mid-management level cryopod people to the wasteland, and a little bit of what Overseer of 32 has been up to.
Yeah, it felt a lot to me, at least the ending of episode 2, just like, I think, laying some of the groundwork for the second season. A lot of it kind of felt like, putting some of the pieces in place, introducing a couple more things. And I guess my prediction in mind was episode 3 was going to do a similar thing. And I guess, did it do that? Did it not do that? We will discuss that along with episode 4, which I'll talk about my predictions for that one after episode 3. But I was just kind of, it's still early on in the season. There's only been 2 episodes prior to this one, obviously. Yeah, I was expecting just moving some of the setup pieces in place for the, I guess, back half of the season.
Yeah, I will say I was kind of uninterested in the Brotherhood even when Kumail Nanjiani showed up, and I was hoping a little bit that Kumail Nanjiani would bring some intrigue to that side of the story, just being that good of an actor, and, hoping that his character got things to do and that he was, basically, if they cut back to that subplot, I was going to be able to see him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very charismatic actor, really funny guy. Yeah. Whenever he shows up on anything, he's always entertaining. And yeah, I was really excited to see more of him. I guess going into episode 3, really excited to see that. Thought it set up a nice dynamic between him and Maximus, which if you want to know our thoughts on Maximus and the whole Brotherhood story, I'm sure we'll get into it a bunch, but we do mention it, I think, a few times.
I do have new thoughts on the Brotherhood as a whole in this season.
Yeah, I do as well, especially when we get to episode 4. I'll have some more thoughts on that.
Well, exciting stuff. Should we jump into episode 3?
Let's do it.
Here we go.
All right, we start back in 2296, and we're checking up on Thaddeus. Thaddeus was the squire that was assigned to Maximus back when he was pretending to be Knight Titus in Season 1. He was turned into a ghoul, and then we didn't see much of him afterwards. He is played by Johnny Pemberton, and he is now the manager of this bottle cap factory. They bring in these crates of bottles and then take the caps off because caps are used as currency. In this world, we learn that he's not a great guy. He has these kids working 12-hour shifts.
Yeah, not violating almost every child labor law in existence. But I guess in this universe, that probably doesn't apply.
I mean, on the other hand, as Thaddeus did say to the kids, most of them don't grow up to be that age.
Yes, the tagline of the episode and also his motto is, "Most kids are dead by this age." That's comforting.
Yeah.
And also to mention, half the kids are ghoulified, which I don't know how that works. Maybe they were either the ghouls are able to have kids, or they just got ghouled early on in life. I don't know how that works.
We then cut to Lucy in Caesar's Legion,
Right.
and she is being led to this like courtyardish area where they keep their Caesar, because they
The
don't.
Kaiser
No, not
Kaiser.
not queso.
No
Queso.
one said.
or Caesar.
Queso.
Yeah, they don't know how to pronounce Caesar, but it is Caesar. She's introduced to the commander,
The legate.
the legate,
Yeah.
played by Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. And this episode answers the question of who exactly he was playing in the show, because I remember him being announced as being in season 2, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of speculation as to who he was playing. This episode answers that as to who he's playing.
To give you some context on how crazy of a casting this is, particularly the legate in the New Vegas game is essentially the final boss, probably one of the toughest enemies in the base game that you fight. He is known for being ruthless and bloodthirsty, just this overall very war-centered guy. So Macaulay Culkin being the legate after Linnaeus and Joshua Graham, it's kind of crazy how that happened, but I think it connects more to the state of the Legion as a whole. They are essentially divided right now into two subgroups, both sharing the same area, but just divided along a small line, divided along some no man's land of like a meter or two. We have two Caesars on one in each of the camps. I don't know if they're two legates, but so the issue is that after original Caesar from the game died, he left a note in his pocket. Is that correct? Of
Yes,
who
of-
his heir is.
Oh,
But
yeah.
neither camp is allowed to get that note because the other camp is afraid that it won't be them. And we only actually know this because they were discussing the right to Lucy's prima noctis, which is a middle-aged tradition that never really happened, that allowed the leader of a country to have sexual relationships with any virgin women that
Yeah.
they wanted.
All that went through my head when I heard that was Bill Clinton, like with the the statement that Bill Clinton makes. I was just like, that's like too like almost like replicating that statement, in that apology.
Yeah, but then Lucy says that she has no prima noctis because she's not a virgin, and she's also done, quote, cousin stuff. Anyway,
I
Cousin
mean,
stuff.
she is a vault dweller, so yeah.
Yeah.
so Lucy's like, I'll just use diplomacy to solve this issue, and she's crucified.
She fails the speech check.
Yeah. She fails the speech check and is quite literally getting crucified.
And then we go back to what is I didn't remember the name of the hospital in the last one. It's called Affordable Al's Discount Hospital.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Which is where the ghoul and Dogmeat are, and he cuts out the tip of the stingray stinger. He got stung by the stingray. No, it's not a stingray. It's a scorpion.
It's a rad scorpion. It's like a giant scorpion. It's basically the
Yeah.
same thing.
yeah.
But he says something that kind of reminded me of like Ship of Theseus quoting that he's doing something about if you take a plank out of a boat, as he's literally cutting into his own thigh, he's like, and you fix it up, it's still a boat. But
Right.
if you take out a lot of planks, then I forgot what he said after.
He was basically talking nonsense just to distract himself from the pain.
And dog meat is just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we get another flashback from Cooper Howard. Cooper Howard at this point, we kind of left off with him. He was supposed to tag along with his wife Barb to go see Robert House and assassinate Robert House. And he knows that his wife wants to drop the bomb on the U.S. herself. I mean, not herself, but on behalf of the company.
Behalf of Vault-Tec.
Yeah, the
Of
behalf of
Vault-Tec,
Vault-Tec, yeah.
So that people would go into Vault-Tec vaults. And also that they could repopulate the Earth with their own,
Super managers.
Exactly.
Yeah, in a sense.
Barb is trying to fit a bunch of things into the keepsake box, which is one of the boxes you're allowed to have in a Vault-Tec vault, and she cannot fit her daughter's teddy bear into the box. Now we go to this event that is being held by some fundraising company, or I don't even know if they're a fundraising company as much as they are just a veteran support association.
Pretty much, yeah.
They talk about how he has to go and kill Robert House, and how he has to get close to Robert House, and we get the opening speech to the event, which is
by the only sitting congresswoman who has not received corporate funding.
Right.
It's a pretty funny scene.
Yeah.
She's like the idea is that she's as uncharismatic as possible, which is kind of interesting because she's the least, we're supposed to believe at least that she is the least corrupt person in Congress in power, right?
But she just put no points in charisma.
Exactly.
Yep.
So she has a lot of principle but no charisma, and politics you need more charisma than principle most often.
Very poignant.
Then Cooper goes to the bathroom where he encounters Robert Thoreau. Justin Thoreau.
Justin Thoreau as
Justin
Robert
Thoreau
House.
as Robert House, not Robert.
Robert Thoreau as Justin House?
I thought you said Robert Throat for a second. I was like, that's holy butchering.
Justin Thoreau as Robert House, and they
doing
have
such as good as a House impression as.
Yeah, he does
could ever
great.
be.
The interaction he has with Cooper Howard in that scene is really, really good. Just like getting a sense of the overall objective, at least with the Ghoul in season 2, and just seeing just like a little bit of what their dynamic was like before the events of the show took place is really, I thought it was really good.
And it has Cooper Howard telling a very good piece of advice to House at the end.
Yeah, so he says he turns to House and he's like, "I could tell you're not a veteran," and he's like, "How? What tipped you off?" And he says, "If you're a veteran, you would know not to talk politics to a man while his dick is in his hand."
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah.
Generally, sure. Cut to Area 51. We're back with the Brotherhood. Hooray!
Hooray, with all their motherships.
Quintus is talking to the other chapters on the West Coast about how Xander Harkness has arrived. Kumail Nanjiani is here. And basically one of the chapters decides to quit the alliance. And this alliance is what would stand against the Commonwealth in this civil war. And
The Yosemite chapter, right?
Yes, that sounds about right. And they talk about the Codex, which is somewhere between Hammurabi's Code and the Bible, that says that there is no such, you can't do violence between brothers, like of the Brotherhood. And then they tell the story of Roger Maxson, where Roger Maxson finds out that his government has been doing unethical experiments, and he had to choose whether to rebel against his country that was doing these experiments or his morals, called his God in the show, like whether or not he would rebel against the government doing these awful things or whether or not he would just stick with them because there's his government. He chose his morals and thus created the Brotherhood of Steel.
That is accurate, to say the least, to
Yeah.
the story. And might I add a little theory of mine? This is the second most major reference to super mutants or the forced evolutionary virus. That is the experiment that Roger Maxson was going against during his time in the Enclave back in pre-war America. The other big reference being a poster on the wall in season 1 of a super mutant wanted poster when the Ghoul was captured by forgot who exactly it was, but just for everyone who's wondering where are the super mutants is another sign.
Yeah.
So then Maximus leaves. I mean, they have a whole conversation about whether or not they're going to secede, and the Yosemite chapter eventually decides they're still leaving the alliance. Maximus then comes out. He's singled out by Xander Harkness, and they go on a little adventure together in a vertibird, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And they Xander's very clearly trying to sway Maximus to the side of the Commonwealth. He says that it's people in the Commonwealth who have seen war that are actually doing the battles that lead, parallel to pre-war Cooper Howard, Robert House, all that good stuff.
War never changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
war never changes.
And Maximus remains stone-faced the entire time. So, Xander doesn't know what he's thinking. We also don't know what he's thinking. He just says, okay, I guess we'll keep talking to you. And then we go back to the Legion. But now we're with the ghoul. I almost called him the ghost.
The goat.
The guy. That's why he's the goat.
That's why he's the goat. The goat.
So the ghoul is looking at Lucy from a telescope that's it's like on a hill that's perched just outside Caesar's Legion, and he can see Lucy getting, crucified. And she's she's very, I guess, dehydrated because her vision's very blurry, and she's
she's being cooked in the sun almost.
Yeah.
And there's this crucified dead guy next to her.
It's true. Probably
Yeah,
doesn't,
a bird pecking.
probably
Yeah,
doesn't
like-
smell great.
Yeah.
So we then get the ghoul. He goes into the Legion, right? And he faces the Caesar,
One of them.
one of the Caesars.
The same one
The same one
Lucy-
Lucy ran into, because it's the same
The same legate.
the same
too.
legate. It's Macaulay Culkin still. And he also finds this robot that
That was all before. So
that was before.
So before
Yeah, that was
he-
before.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, yeah,
before
explain,
he
explain.
reaches the Legion, the ghoul goes to the first in-game location. Well, maybe the second in-game location that we see in this episode. The first being Helios 1, which Maximus and Xander pass by on their journey in the vertibird. So the ghoul reaches Camp Golf, which was originally an NCR settlement camp that is essentially abandoned here. And here we meet inside the Camp Golf building a Securitron named Victor.
Oh yeah, Victor, the robot dude with the TV, the TV face.
Yeah.
face.
Victor being the character that essentially digs you out of the ground in the game after you got shot in the head and survive. So he pretty much follows you all around until you reach the Lucky 38. He is a pretty important character, I'd say, for the early game, but it's nice to see him doing well.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then he mentions that there are New California Republic guys hiding out in a hill nearby,
Right.
which is
Right,
and
right.
then it cuts away back to the vertibird with Maximus and Xander.
I will say, like that's the few scenes with the ghoul, at least with the robot, and then getting to the New Republic stuff is like great. That's where the Western kind of influences I feel like of the show come in.
Yeah, especially with this season being in the Mojave and all.
Yeah, and I've said this ad nauseum with season 1. I'll probably say it more times with season 2. But it's just the blending of genres is really impressive to me. That is just like you take a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of Western, even a little bit of horror at times with some of the creatures, and it all feels seamless. Like it doesn't feel like one overshines the other. And in this one in particular, like you get a sense of the Western, I guess the Western influence
It's shining through, yeah.
Yeah. So no, yeah, I thought that was really, I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to Xander and Maximus.
Yay. They basically just talk for a while.
They have a fun banter. I mean, Kumail Nanjiani is a really fun actor to watch, and even the scenes with Maximus, I feel like their interaction really kind of showcases like Maximus as a character.
It showcases what the Brotherhood storyline could be.
Yeah, it showcases what it could be, and also I feel like Maximus, I think he's fine. The actor I think does a good job playing him, but I feel like he works best when he's with other people. When he's by himself, he's not super interesting. So you're pairing him up with a guy like Kumail Nanjiani. I feel like he has somebody to like interact with that makes some of the Brotherhood stuff I feel like in this season a little bit more fun. And
Yeah.
one that's just like every time they cut to it, instead of going, oh, you'd be like, okay, like I'm at least interested to see that side, at least at this point in time in the episode.
Sure, somewhat. I mean, they basically just talk about, like, if the Civil War goes forward, then they're going to fight each other, Maximus and Xander. And then Xander gets reports and hears of some robots walking around.
Rolling around.
Yeah, rolling around.
And he says that it's the Brotherhood's job to protect the wasteland from robots.
This may or may not be the first time the Brotherhood has said that outright. That is their clear goal. They are to police the wasteland, essentially. This basically confirms how different the writers have made the Brotherhood's goals rather than what they originally have been, which even what I think it was Quintus who said in the beginning of season 1 that the Brotherhood were surveyors of the wasteland in order to protect and preserve pre-war technology. That's basically their whole shtick and what they're really known for in the games. But they've kind of evolved more into this more militaristic and police state faction, pretty much, which could go both ways, in my opinion. I'd rather they be the technology preservers, as is like their original intent, but like with them growing to this extent, it kind of makes sense lore wise.
Yeah, although we are 9 episodes in, and this is the first time that their main goal has been said at all.
It's been kind of implied throughout, like immediately after we see them mention the pre-war preservation goal, they essentially just turn into people who rule the wasteland and make sure it's all peaceful and whatnot.
All right, reasonable, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
I have kind of more thoughts on that, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we then get back to the ghoul. And I don't remember what happens when they go back to the ghoul.
Doesn't
I'll
he
be honest.
doesn't he meet up with those people in the desert?
Yeah, he gets captured by the NCR and goes back to their camp in pretty much the last remaining, as far as we know, NCR camp in the Mojave Desert. They're just a couple guys, essentially, just like one guy in riot armor, just another in like trooper armor, and another guy. It's very small. The NCR has fallen a lot since Second Battle of Hoover Dam, and so is the Legion. So
yeah, so I think that's the idea, is that the New California Republic is basically on the verge of death. And then we go back to the bottling factory. Remember the bottling factory?
Yeah.
With the bottles and the caps? The Maximus and Xander go into the building that the bottling factory is in, which is also where the Securitron was. I think it's the same Securitron.
it's not Victor.
It's not Victor?
It's just a different one.
They look the exact same.
Victor's the one with the face of the cowboy. All the other ones just have the soldier face on them.
Yeah, but like the same kind of design for them.
Yeah, they're called Securitrons.
Yeah, the Securitron. Yeah.
The robots, and then they go and they find the bottling factory, and then we cut back to Caesar's Legion, and this is when the ghoul approaches the Caesar and says,
Away.
Away.
Or whatever you people say.
Yeah, and then he says that he wants Lucy back, and in return, he will tell them where the New California Republic was hiding.
He lost karma in that moment, but he got the speech checks. Lucy is down.
And then we go back to the veterans meeting, and this is like I believe it's in voiceover. It said we get a speech from the volunteers meeting.
This was great. I will say this was, I think, the highlight of the episode for me.
About Cooper's exploits during the war and also his loyalty to his own squad, which hints to his plan to take down House, but also mirrors him as they take down Lucy from the cross, having just put himself in harm's way to save another person, which is something he wouldn't have done at the beginning of the show. Then he lights a bunch of dynamite in the middle of Caesar's Legion, and they explode. And as they walk away, Caesar's Legion gets into a huge civil war between the two sides.
'cause
Well,
the
maybe
thing-
not huge, but
At least huge for the sense of what the either side thinks is huge, or
It's-
it's like essentially, I guess one of them thinks that the other set it off. when-
either way, the Legion's gone.
Pretty much. I think that's the idea.
yeah,
No more Legion. And then we go back to the bottling factory where Xander sees all these ghouly kids and is about to kill them. And then Thaddeus gets in the way and says, "No, don't kill them." And then he's like, "Okay, I'll kill you, and then I'll kill them." And Maximus is like, "Don't do it. Don't you do it. Don't
Yeah.
do it."
Maximus takes Xander's super sledge,
Yeah.
hits him right on the skull
And-
of the power armor.
and essentially kills him. So Kamal Nanjiani's character of Xander.
The only
Is-
good Brotherhood character is now dead.
Yeah. That sledge was set up because they used the sledge to kill the Securitron earlier. And yeah, so now Xander is dead, and then Maximus lifts up his visor, and he and Thaddeus have a really awkward reunion, and he says, "I think I just started a war." And then
Yeah.
the episode ends.
Yeah. So what do we all think of episode 3?
I find that episode 3 is consistently like my least favorite episode of every series. Just because
It's fair. I
it's
mean,
right at that point where we're still setting up and not paying off, but we've already had the time investment of it in such a way that like I'm wired to assume there's a payoff coming after at least 3 hours of content. I mean, I'm more movie brained than
Yeah.
TV brained, and
That's fair.
if you're not concluding things by the third hour, you're making TV. You're not making a movie. So by episode 3, I'm kind of tired of the setup, and this is more setup, especially when the entire arc of both Macaulay Culkin and Kumail Nanjiani's characters were contained entirely within the setup.
yeah. I mean, I guess for me, I feel like recently I found out that I'm actually a lot more TV wired than I am film wired. And I feel like the way that they're doing it in this show, I guess I'll start off with this. I thought episode 3 was solid. I thought it was better than episode 2. Maybe not as good as the pilot for me. But episode 3, kind of like what Jesse was saying, it's still laying the groundwork for the season. But I feel like a lot of the things that they're putting in place, I feel like makes sense. By the time this episode ends, killing off Kamal Nanjiani and presumably Macaulay Culkin's character was a choice that if I was in charge of the show, I wouldn't have done. And overtly, my concern with it so far is that, Maximus, like I said, is a character who I think works better with other people, especially the highlight for me in season 1 when he was with Lucy. I feel like you really get a sense of who he is. And I feel like in this season, they're doing a little bit of that, at least up to this point, to where, he has a moral compass and the role that he wants, where in season 1 it was set up that he wanted it all his life. And at the end of season 1, he's given it when he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
And I think here you start to get a sense of just like he does not want to be in this role. He's not willing to kill kids even if they're ghouls.
Right.
And so you get a little bit of that. You get some fun moments that the ghoul and Lucy do reunite. That's one of my big fears coming off of episode 2, that they're just going to go into side quest mode. Thankfully, they don't do that here. And you get some things that are set in place. And once we talk about episode 4, I will, I guess, go into if I think that they're heading in the right direction with going towards payoff. But I feel like I'm really happy with what I'm seeing throughout the season, and I thought episode 3 worked good.
I think that this episode in particular set up more about each of the factions in the Mojave than it did any of the characters. So first off, the Legion, they are pretty much reduced down to this small little splintered camp, and they eventually all die in the end. You see the NCR, they only have one surviving camp, and the interesting thing is all the in-game locations that appear in this episode, Camp Golf, the Helios one, and later Prim, which is you can see across in the distance when the ghoul is at the little NCR camp. Those locations were all controlled by the New California Republic back then, but as far as we know, they're all empty now. There was no sign of any activity going on in there, or they were just completely abandoned. So I think that's just a really good and different way of showing how the NCR is pretty much in the same vein as the Legion. They are both just down. They are not really doing anything in the Mojave anymore, and it pretty much sets up there's going to be a new big bad guy other than either of these two, which I really like.
Yeah, I do as well.
It might be House. That would be cool too, but as we'll discuss in episode 4, we might be rethinking that even.
Yeah, and this show seems somewhat less interested in the nuances of each region and more in the story that it's telling in how these characters interact with what essentially remains of each legion after having gone through clearly a second war. Like maybe not nuclear, but a second war nonetheless. I will say, in response to Maximus's story and his arc, I don't think that it explores what was set up at the end of season 1 very well.
At least yet.
I can only comment on yet.
Yeah.
Maximus got what he wanted when he didn't want it, but all that really equates to in these first 3 episodes is him kind of standing in the corner, kind of brooding for a while, and he's like, and then everyone's like, yeah. He's like,
everyone's doing everything with or without him.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
And it doesn't give Aaron Moten a very he does not dealt a good hand. He just kind of has to sit there expressionless because that's what his character does at this point. He's just unhappy about everything, and it's like
just an NPC.
To view the Brotherhood through the lens of someone who's bored with the Brotherhood makes me bored of the Brotherhood. It doesn't make me interested in it.
That explains it, doesn't it?
So it's the biggest weakness of this season 2 so far is that the Brotherhood is explored in this such an uninteresting way.
And plus, the whole Brotherhood being the protectors of the Wasteland bit, the whole thing with them getting rid of abominations, though that's true to the Brotherhood to an extent, it makes more sense if they had all their same motives and goals, but if they were the Enclave, aka the Fallout universe's version of the American Deep State, which survived up until post-war America, the pretty much the enemies of the Brotherhood, as we've seen in Fallout 3, I would have loved to see more of them rather than the Brotherhood themselves. I know Todd Howard loves his power armor and his little paladins and knights running around, but there's an interesting story to tell, and there's a way you can connect it to season 1. I forgot his name with his head cut off. The German name guy.
Oh, the doctor dude?
The doctor who trains
Wilzig.
Wilzig, right.
Wilzig, yeah, Wilzig.
Wilzig was an Enclave defect. They could have connected that with the Brotherhood in the first time if they want to get rid of all the abominations and police the Wasteland motive. I don't care about the Brotherhood as a faction themselves, no matter what they do.
Yeah. It was one of my biggest complaints with season 1 as well. That whole side, every time it was exploring Lucy and the Ghoul, I was more interested, but every time it cut back to like Maximus and the brother, I just didn't care. In the first season, this season, not a whole lot different, at least up to now, but the Brotherhood time, whenever they cut back to it, I feel like some of the dynamics are more interesting here, but it's still, that doesn't change the fact that the Brotherhood is not something that, of the storylines in this show or this season so far, it's not one that I'm particularly interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, do we have anything more to say before episode 4?
You said you had some predictions that you had coming into episode 4 that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, I did. Yeah, so episode 4, going into it, after episode 4, it'll be halfway through the season. And at this point, as somebody who watches a lot of TV shows, I hope that episode 4 and prior is essentially set up for, or like, I guess, laying the groundwork for the payoff that'll come in the second half of the season. And I said, kind of with episodes 1 and 2, if they keep doing setups to episode 5, or especially episode 6, I'm going to get worried, because it's going to be like too little too late when it comes to the finale. I haven't seen too many shows do that recently, at least not at the top of my head, but I'm hoping, at least my prediction was hoping that episode 4 kind of gives a sense as to what the overall objective of each character and their story is, because I know there's a lot of storylines in this season, and my hope, which we'll get into for episode 4, is that start to make it clear that each character has a clear objective. The setup's done. Now all it is that for each of them to get an objective. So that was my prediction for that one, at least in terms of this season in particular.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because like I kind of said with season 1, there's a bit too much of like, because Lucy's exploring the surface for the first time, or a couple others. It's like there's a lot of wandering around and like going to a couple different places. There's she's trying to find her dad, but there's a couple like she goes over here, then she meets the ghoul, then she goes back, goes here.
A lot of side quests.
Yeah, side quests. Like I know it's very video game-esque to say, but there's a few too many of that in season 1, and so far with season 2, I'm hoping episode 4 can solidify that. Hopefully, it can be more focused this time around.
On the main quest line.
Yeah, like the main quest line.
That's reasonable. And honestly, I feel like episode 4 is when a show should probably start picking up and like making things really, really interesting so that they could start resolving some earlier threads. And just if I'm not hooked by 4, I'm never gonna be,
Speaking of which,
very true. Yeah.
So let's look at episode 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say. Speaking of episode 4, let's jump right in.
All right, we start with I was gonna say a pre-war thing, but it appears that they're actively engaged in war, but not the war, a different war.
It's the Battle of Anchorage, Alaska, against the Chinese communists.
That makes sense. Yeah. And Cooper and this other guy are both wearing power armor, and then the power armor starts to seize up, and he's then attacked by some Chinese soldiers who shoot him and his power armor stops working, and he basically just lies down while the Chinese soldiers kind of monologue to him.
In Chinese.
And then a giant fucking monster comes and kills them all.
Yeah.
The Death Claw, let me give you some context. One of the most dangerous creatures in the entire wasteland. You see them on the East Coast, you see them on the West Coast, you see them in Massachusetts. They are awesome. And to see that, to see them in pre-war America, I'm not particularly caught up on the lore of Death Claws in particular, but the fact that they're in Anchorage, Alaska, that opens up a whole can of worms in a good way. Like, did either army like create these monsters for battle, or did they like escape and spread out through America? Are they? The point is, the Death Claw just rips them apart so easily, and it's such a great opening.
It's an incredible opening. I think one of the best openings of the show, at least for me. I don't know if they did this in the show. I didn't get the chance to look it up before, but it looked practical, at least when they zoomed in close and it was over Cooper Howard and he's like scared of it, and like you could see like the eyes twitching and stuff. I don't know if it was done practically. I guess someone could fact check me on that one, but just the way it was done, like it looked really, really cool.
Plus the Death Claw design,
looked great.
Yeah,
and it's one that like even from a video game, like it translates to live action very well. I would say, as most of the or I guess I would say majority of the world of Fallout is replicated almost perfectly, at least from stills that I've seen from the game.
It is replicated more from Fallout 4, I'd say, but the ones in the model in that particular one is probably the best in my opinion.
So all of the Death Claws were practical.
It was. Wow.
Yes.
The Death Claws were puppets.
Love practical effects.
Awesome.
And watching the show, you can tell. I thought it was great. Great introduction, especially to episode 4.
Mm-hmm. The Death Claws and the power armor also looks fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like
it really feels like the creative team behind
They're
the
just
show. Like
cosplaying in real power armor. It's so good. It makes you want. It makes you want just any type of clothing or accessory from the wasteland. You just want it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you can really tell throughout this entire show, both seasons, that the creative team behind it,
they know the game.
They know the game. They understand the game, and they really seem like they're dedicated to making a faithful adaptation.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of power armor, let's go back to the bottling factory where we have Maximus and Thaddeus and a dead Xander.
Yep.
And Maximus basically convinces Thaddeus to wear Xander's power armor. And the power armor has a much greater learning curve to Thaddeus than it ever did for Maximus.
That's kind of the point of power armor. like in the game, you always have to like be trained to wear it, otherwise you're unable to equip it. So, yeah, pretty accurate.
But like the Brotherhood comes to pick them up, and he says that Elder Quintus is really mad, and then Thaddeus just walking out the doorway. He has to try it like 5 times before he fits through.
Yeah, really funny stuff. Like he's like classic joke, but as knowing the character of Thaddeus from the first season, he's just constantly bumping the door. He's like, hold on, head under, and then he bumps his knee, bumps his head, bumps his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's just really fun. Thaddeus, I always found to be a fun character, like a entertaining character to watch.
I mean, yeah, and Johnny Pemberton plays him so well.
Oh, he's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he really is great.
Now we look forward at the New California Ranger Camp. This is the little outpost that the ghoul had found last episode. Now Lucy's there. The 2 people there say that they're from Shady Sands, and then they ask Lucy who she's looking for. And that's a little awkward because they're looking for her father, who blew up Shady Sands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she just kind of keeps it a little bit vague, and the Rangers give them like some guns, right? Like a bunch of guns to take with them. And Lucy's like, oh, they were nice. And then the ghoul's like, not if they knew that your dad blew up Shady Sands. And then we get back to Vault 33. Remember the
Yay.
vaults?
Yeah.
I remember the vaults. Good times.
It's fun.
Reg is hosting his support group for the products of inbreeding.
Yeah, there's more people this time.
Many more people. And
Good job, Reg.
Betty, played by Leslie Uggams, says that it's a snack club, which appears to be a fairly common thing, that there are some clubs that just exist for snacks. People just come to snack. And there are people who are like, either they don't know if they're inbred, but they just kind of lie and say they are inbred to eat the snacks, or
And drink the 2 jugs of water during the water shortage.
Yeah, and that
33.
and also just some people might be products of inbreeding, or at least have inbreeding within their families. One person says that he thinks his aunt and uncle are related, which is how aunts and uncles work.
Yeah, I was about to say that is how aunts and uncles work.
So yeah, and then the 2 jugs of water are empty, so Reg goes to Betty to get it filled, but Betty says that he's getting too much water and there's so many restrictions. And then we go back to the Mojave with Lucy, who is being really rude,
And itching
And
a lot.
itching.
And
Yeah.
suddenly feeling cold. You
What-
know what that means.
What the fudge? What the fudge?
She says "what the fudge" a lot. It's really
Yeah.
funny. And she's
Yeah, are you fudging serious?
she's acting really out of character and really upset. Ella Purnell sells it really well.
She's great.
It is really, really impressive to have to play a character acting out of character
In
and
a
just-
different accent, even.
and in a different,
Yeah, in a different, like a flawless American
but
accent, I will say.
just nailing it. She is amazing in this show. And so I thought she was turning into a ghoul, but apparently she's just addicted to drugs.
Yeah,
to buff out.
yeah, it's a buff.
specifically.
Yeah,
I don't know what buff out is, but I guess it has those side effects. Is it like the vials that the ghoul takes? Because he said he was awfully familiar
No,
with
those
it.
are different.
No.
Buff out's a real thing.
Buff out's a real
Increases
thing.
your HP. Addiction is a real in-game mechanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, so she basically the ghoul gives her an option, right? She could either just wait out the withdrawal and go completely cold turkey, or take more. She takes more.
Fair enough.
Then we go back to Area 51, where Maximus and Thaddeus are. Maximus says he's going to go to Quintus, admit that he killed Xander, and then also kill Quintus. Meanwhile, Thaddeus needs to act natural
Oh boy.
yeah.
as Xander.
In a giant robot suit, kid you not?
In a cafeteria full of Brotherhood scribes and all of them.
yeah.
And
Yeah, very fish out of water comedy type stuff.
they play with a funny bit that no matter how quiet you are in the suit, it picks up your voice and then blasts it really loudly across the entire room. So he's sitting there like, okay, you can do this. You deserve to be there. And then everyone else like in the cafeteria is like, okay, you deserve to be here. That's it is silly. We're back in Santa Monica, where Norm and the Vault-Tec management people ended up. They're raiding like a food truck, And
Full of Blamco mac and cheese that was apparently untouched for 200 years.
Yeah. Wonder if it's still good.
Lucky them. Oh, it's totally still good.
Yeah.
Maybe a little radiation on the side, but, those preservatives.
Yeah.
Norm tells everyone to conserve because they don't know when they're going to find more food. And we get like a little scene where one of the people says that like only a week ago she drove across the bridge before she was frozen. Like there was a bridge near there that she drove across literally 1 week ago, as far as she remembers it. Then we have this other guy who says like, when does phase 2 start? And Norm is trying to keep his cool here. He's like, oh, I'm calling the shots here. I decide. And then he's like, and then Ronnie's like, well, I was Bud Askin's personal assistant, and I know the plan for Vault 32 and 33 in phase 2.
Ooh, Norm has to pass his speech check.
Yeah.
So Norm just tells Ronnie to lead the way, and that seems to work. And then we get back into Vault 32, and we catch up with this guy named Woody. He's the Zach Cherry character from the first season.
Love Woody.
And it was set up earlier that he doesn't, like, he keeps getting his left and rights mixed up because 32 is the mirror image of 33.
That poor guy.
Well, he's trying to go to the bathroom, and he's used to it being a left and then a left, but now it's a right and then a right. Or maybe it's the other way around, because he goes the wrong way again, and he finds a meeting happening between Betty and Steph. And Betty says that Betty's asking Steph to share water. They also discuss how they found that Vault 31 had been completely abandoned. Right, Norm was nowhere to be found, but Bud is. And we finally get the confirmation, Bud is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
The brain on Aruba.
brain on Roomba is dead.
Rip.
And the experiment seems to be over. And they need to work together. Steph agrees to give the water if Betty finds and brings Steph a keepsake box that belonged to Hank McLean.
McLean.
Ooh.
McLean.
Sorry, that's not a drive. Mr. McLean.
McLean.
Hank Mr. Clean.
Hank Mr. Clean. Yeah, he has more hair than Mr. Clean.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he keeps in the keepsake box.
Maybe.
Mr. Clean's hair.
Mr. Clean.
Character we haven't seen it for a while.
Yeah,
It's
we haven't
true.
seen it for a bit.
It's
yeah.
true. And honestly, I didn't love his story in the episode 1 and 2. So
Let's hope it connects back to
Yeah.
House some.
interestingly
Someday.
enough, neither episode 3 nor 4 make any mention of the mind control chip. Betty asks why, but Steph says it has something personal. And then Woody finds the two of them and says, sorry. He kind of hides and listens into the conversation. He doesn't make himself known. Then we go to New Vegas.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Finally.
Which I love that they're doing in this episode. I'm really happy that they didn't spend all 8 episodes trying to find New Vegas, because that would have been
it was
brutal.
right there in the
Yeah.
In the
right
first
in the
episode,
horizon.
it was literally right there.
It's so clear.
Yeah, it's great to see that halfway through the season that they actually did make it there.
So yeah,
And hopefully a lot of these storylines about Hank and Robert House, now that halfway through the season they are in New Vegas, or at least at this point approaching New Vegas.
let's hope.
Yeah.
So Ghoul and Lucy are pretty much in Freeside, which is the city, the New Vegas city, right outside the main strip. So they confront the ghoulified version of the Kings.
Who are the Kings?
They look like Elvis knockoffs.
They really do.
They really are. So the thing is, there were a bunch of guys. They formed a gang based around some videotapes they found in an Elvis impersonation school in the city of Freeside.
Because he's the king.
Because he's the king.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Kings, for one reason or another, have now become ghoulified, and pretty much there's no one else to be found in Freeside. So, eerily empty except for them.
Yeah, and Lucy goes and just starts shooting him in the head, which she couldn't do earlier in the season. And then after she's done killing all of them,
It's probably the buff out.
yeah.
It's still awesome nonetheless. I mean,
Or she used
Lucy
Vats.
making it to the surface. I mean, she spent enough time up there to where, she's not shooting people in the ass anymore.
And so after she's done shooting them, she turns to the ghoul and is like, "Can I have a cigarette? I've always wanted to try one."
Yeah, well, only one drug at a time.
Yeah, one addiction at a time.
Or one addiction at a time, yeah.
So-
I love the ghoul's reaction. There's so many moments in this episode where he's just like sitting on a chair and it's just like holy aura. Like,
Yeah.
I think he probably has the most aura out of anybody in the show, but I know that's probably not too important. But just the dynamic between the ghoul and Lucy in this season's really good.
You gotta love it, yeah. So you see what used to be alive Securitrons guarding the gate to the North Vegas Strip. They're dead Securitrons. Ooh, what could have done that?
I bet it was Robert House. Yeah, then we go back to Area 51. And Thaddeus goes to the cafeteria, and this is where we get the talking to himself bit, but he's really, really loud.
Yeah.
And then the Yosemite Elder comes up to him and wants to make a deal. They say, like, we will get the relic if you give us 3,000 cores or something, 3,000 cold fusion cores.
300. Are they talking about the cold fusion? Yeah, the cold fusion
Yeah,
relic, right?
I assume so. Or no, he says that they will shoot Quintus if they give them the cold fusion cores. The relic, I believe the relic was destroyed. All this to say, another elder comes to speak to him, and they start arguing.
Thaddeus gets a panic attack.
Thaddeus has a panic attack.
A realistic panic attack. Glad to see that.
And then Maximus goes to Quintus and says that he killed Xander, and he says, like, what happened? He says, well, Xander was about to kill a couple of kids that were ghouls, and now Quintus starts to try to kill Maximus.
Yeah, because that's when he hears the word ghoul, he immediately snaps.
Yeah, and then someone, this guy who was previously hiding the children, because Maximus said that you should hide the children because there's going to be a lot of shooting.
Oh, yeah,
Then
Dane.
Dane takes the cold fusion relic, which is what we were previously discussing.
Out of all the Brotherhood characters, we have the most uninteresting one to do so.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of Dane.
I don't really know
Really?
much about Dane.
Just
there, kind of.
Well, there's not really much about Dane, even in this whole show.
doesn't
Pretty
do
much.
anything. Just bruise at Max.
Even in the
Maximus.
first season, like Dane was just like, okay.
Yeah, no, he's just Dane, but now he has the cold fusion relic. But now every other chapter thinks the other one stole it, so the Yosemite Elder stabs the other Elder. There's a huge gunfight.
Poor Thaddeus.
Hooray.
Poor Thaddeus was like being flamed. They were trying to take his mask off, and he's like, no, let's not do that.
Yeah, then Dane, Maximus, and Thaddeus all meet up. Dane gives Maximus the cold fusion relic.
And doesn't come with them. Yay!
Yeah, and they just run.
All right.
So
While everything's exploding above them, all the boring Brotherhood stuff gets exploded to pieces. Thank God.
They heard our complaint about there being too many Brotherhood airships and the Brotherhood having too much stuff, and say, yeah, we'll just blow it up then, because that's essentially what happens. The Brotherhood, like the Legion, they get in the Civil War breaks out, and everything goes.
Everything goes south, and I guess it's all gone. It all went kaboom.
Yeah.
So let's mark that down as 2 different factions that we've destroyed in these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Plus the New California Republic seems like it's on its last legs.
Yeah.
Then we go back to the vaults, which are slowly becoming the most interesting story in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Woody goes and has to report Steph's transgression to Steph, because apparently they were using a room that is only available to use while doing intervault communications or trades.
Yeah, which is not what she was doing.
No, she was colluding. And Steph's kind of like weirdly backhanded about it. She's like, oh, you did a good job. And he's like, okay, what happens now? And he says, well, I'll send it to the Overseer. And Woody's like, but you are the Overseer. Meanwhile, Chet,
Chet. Free
Chet.
Chet.
Played by Dave Register, he is walking around the apartment vault that they share. He opens a drawer and he finds a pre-war ID that belongs to Steph, saying that she is from U.S. occupied Canada. Now,
Oh, she's a Canadian.
so there
Watch out.
are 2 oddities here. No, number 1 is that everyone in the vault is like they're supposed to be American. That's this vault's part of this vault's thing is that they're American, and they're going to reclaim the surface. The other thing is that the fact that he found this pre-war ID means that she is somewhere in the range of 220 years old, which makes sense to us because we know that every overseer of the vault was previously frozen in Vault 31, but but Chet doesn't know that.
Dave, who's Dave?
Who's Dave?
Dave Register, the actor who plays Chet, is who I was about to say, but then I switched to just the regular name.
Yeah, and it really kind of establishes that like the conflict between Vault 32 and Vault 33 is specifically with Steph's character, that she's like descending into madness almost.
Plus, she's Canadian.
Yeah, and even I mentioned this earlier when Woody was trying to find the bathroom. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just not used to this vault." And the guy he's talking to says, "I would do anything to go back to Vault 33," which is like subtlety. And then this scene kind of establishes that there's much conflict between the two.
He mentions he accidentally went into the women's men's room.
Yeah, which I don't know what a women's men's room is.
Well,
but,
it's a men's room for women, or a room for women's men. Like, you know how you can be a mama's boy? Maybe that's like it's like a subset of women's men. Yeah, he went into the women's men's room. Then we go back to the Wasteland, which is currently the most interesting story, but and this part only makes it more interesting because they go into New Vegas. The ghoul's like, we should go back to Freeport. Like we should, or
Freeside.
Freeside, that's what it's
which
called.
they were just in.
They need to go to Freeport. Freeside.
They want to go back to Freeside because something doesn't look right. Just like Freeside, there's nobody in the New Vegas Strip. It's all empty. You know, we see all the classic locations. We see the Gomorrah Casino, the Ultra Lux, the Lucky 38.
Oh yeah, I remember the pointing to the Lucky 38.
Yeah.
It's a cool little detail.
AKA where Robert House is. And
Oh.
hopefully they go inside in the next episode. But
Well, if they don't in the next 4, that's going to be really bad.
they just stay in the Strip.
Yeah, they're just in the Strip the next 4. They don't
Which
ever
would be
enter.
hard to do because...
So Lucy is just walking around calling out for Hank, and
Yeah, calling out for her dad.
her dad is Hank.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the ghoul's like, we should go, we gotta go. And then she shoots this large eggshell, like this big egg that was like in the road. And then she's just keep calling out for Hank, and the ghoul's like, "Oh no, this is really bad."
Or like she finds an
Uh-oh.
eggshell and she's like, "Hey,
How big do the chickens grow?
How big do the chickens get?" And the ghoul freaks
And
out.
and
He's like, "Those aren't chickens."
And then a death claw bursts out of a building.
Out of the Gomorrah of all places, like a Mama Deathclaw. It's okay. I think that one was practical too because it looked just as amazing.
Yeah, it looked
as
great,
the
and
first scene.
there's foreshadowing to the incredible opening of this episode, which is where the ghoul, where I guess the ghoul when he was Cooper Hoffman had first an interaction with
Cooper
the
Howard.
Cooper Howard, sorry, not Cooper Hoffman.
Cooper
Not-
Hoffman is
not
Philip
Cooper
Seymour
Hoffman.
Hoffman's son.
Not Cooper Hoffman. Yeah, Cooper Howard, where he had an interaction with the Deathclaw, and comes back in here as well.
Yeah, let's think about the implications of this for a bit.
Please.
So, the endings, the canon ending that we have set up, that they have set up, is presumably, if House is still alive, that House won in the end and New Vegas prospered until the end. Everything has hit the fan, and a Deathclaw just ruined all of his plans. There's no more gamblers, no more of the 3 families that run the Strip, no more people at all, just a Mama Deathclaw and some eggs. So much for all of that, which I really like how they approach this. It's not one particular faction that rules the entire Mojave as is implied by the endings. It does canonize an ending, but it takes it in a different direction, which I really like. Like, it just subverts Mr. House's plans for control of the Mojave, and he's going to have to do something else, presumably with the mind control chip. So that explains why his motive does not rely on the Securitrons just like it did in the game, because they're all dead.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mr. House won, but he failed is the idea there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. What did we think of this episode?
I guess I'll start this one off. For me, I think this is the best episode of the season so far.
Agreed.
Everything that I said earlier about what I was hoping this episode would do, especially as an episode 4, midway point through the season, is that at the end of this episode, most of like the big setup I feel like is gone. To where now we're starting to get into more payoff territory. You know, the Ghoul and Lucy are on an objective for Lucy to find her dad and for the Ghoul to find out if Robert House is still around. They get to New Vegas, and they're not wandering around the whole season, which I really appreciated. And then you have the stuff with Norm, and they're free from Vault 31, and they're on an objective. You have the established conflict from Vault 32 and Vault 33, that there's an actual, a problem that we now know what it is. And then even the side with Maximus, if you recall from the end of episode 3, I was nervous that they killed off, the fun side character that Maximus was with. What better guy to replace Maximus with? Now he's tagging along with Thaddeus. So I feel like that side is just like, okay, there's interesting. And then even the stuff with the Brotherhood where they end it. As someone, said ad nauseum that, I think all three of us are not very crazy about the Brotherhood. And I feel like that episode ends in a place where it's like, okay, that side doesn't, at least for now, it doesn't seem like that's going to be an issue, I think, for the rest of the season. Because I feel like they leave it at a point to where that side of the bunch of war talk and characters I wasn't super interested in.
It pays off.
It feels like it pays off. And I feel like they're setting the bar to start giving some answers to questions that we had. And I think this episode worked really well. And now that there's 4 episodes left, I feel like they have more than enough time to give resolution to this. So I was really happy with it.
And I will say, the Brotherhood stuff is... it's still not interesting in this. Like, the actual Brotherhood drama between Maximus and Quintus is not interesting.
Absolutely
What's
not.
interesting, actually, in this episode is the fish out of water bit with Johnny Pemberton and Thaddeus.
Yeah.
That's a fun bit. When the Brotherhood is destroyed, now I'm looking forward to seeing what Maximus does as a character. I assume he's going to try to find Lucy, which it feels like all of these plots are kind of coming together.
Yeah,
with the exception of Norm's plot and the Vault 32-33 plot. I'm seeing hints of ways that they're kind of evolving, but I'm really excited to see, because we have more plots now.
Yeah.
How all these plots are coming together.
And I don't know if it's just a me thing, but it doesn't feel overstuffed. I feel like, it does enough to expand the world, but each character has, an objective that feels like they can all correlate, and it feels like it's actually a lived-in world.
And they all have their own moments, and they focus on them enough instead of just jumping around randomly on every single side plot. Like, we don't see too much of the Vault storylines, but what they did set up in the end is really great.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think the character work in this season has been really good so far, and I feel like episode 4 kind of established to me that, at least in terms of storylines, it's much more it seems a lot more focused to me than season 1 was, to where we're getting to places quicker. They're not devolving too much of the runtime wandering around exploring the world, which is cool, which I feel like season 1 did a really good job with world building, but it kind of devolved into the side quest territory. Where here, you have the New Vegas subplot, you have the subplot with Norm, you have the Vaults, and you have Maximus and the Brotherhood. To where I feel like there's enough room for them all to intersect. I can't wait to see where all of it goes. And I thought this was a really good episode so far.
Yeah, and I will say it's good that there are a couple of plots that they are keeping from us each episode, right?
Yeah.
We've gone a little while without Hank.
Yeah.
And in the episode prior, we mostly were focused, like, we didn't have a lot of pre-war stuff, We get scenes here and there, and Justin Thoreau shows up, and it's great.
And Anchorage, which was awesome.
Anchorage was great. Although, honestly, I'm going to be honest, I think that the pre-war story is one of the least interesting in this whole season.
Really?
That's fair. Like, you mean the Cooper Howard flashbacks?
The Cooper Howard flashbacks.
Yeah.
I think
it is. I think it's more there to establish, I think, the dynamic, I guess, the role Robert House had during that time.
Right.
But it's one that's just like, I do agree with you in a sense that I don't feel like it advances too much. I mean, you get a sense of, it helps the Ghoul's character, and I feel like gives insight into who Robert House was. I mean, the opening of season 2 I thought was great, set in the past. But yeah, I just feel like it wasn't as interesting to me as season 1, at least. This particular side exploring Cooper Hoffman's Howard. God, I did it again. I almost said Cooper Hoffman again. Cooper Howard's backstory, And I feel like, the opening of season 1, I think, is the best opening of the entire show.
Yeah.
Really laying the groundwork for that stuff. And yeah, in a sense that, especially in episode 3, probably not the most interesting, but I'm not bored to it whenever they cut to it, but I feel like there's some filling in the gaps, I think, that hopefully will be done. But
And I will say, the dynamic with Robert House being like around everywhere, but no one recognizes him because he uses his TV double.
Yeah.
And it does give insight into the character of Cooper Howard, but if you actually look at what's happening in that plot, it's a whole lot of Cooper Howard's here. He says he's going to assassinate Robert House. Then we cut away. And then he says he's going to assassinate Robert House. And then we cut away. It's like the same thing over and over again for 4 episodes. And while other plots have been building themselves up, this one hasn't at all.
Yeah, I guess in a sense that's like assassinating Robert House, flash forward to the present. It seems like that's exactly what, I guess, the ghoul's trying to find out what happened to him. I guess maybe he slipped from his, slipped under or something to where I guess he wasn't able to do it. And then, now that he's the ghoul, trying to give, I guess, a payoff to that, to where it's just like, I am dedicated to finding Robert House and stopping anything that he's trying to do.
And I think to that point, there's only so much you can set up with that particular storyline in the pre-war era. Like, you literally have such a limited amount of time you can explore before the bombs drop, even, and just how much Cooper can actually do in terms of his own power.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is fair. That Cooper's in that weird kind of situation of we've seen the end of his story. At any point before the end of his story, he can do things, but also it doesn't make it like it would get cartoony if it was 1 year before the bombs dropped and he's going on this crazy adventure and just does 10 years worth of things in 1 year just because the TV show needs that. But you could cut down on the amount of times that he sits around talking about how much he needs to assassinate Robert House and just show us more Robert House.
Oh, yeah.
I don't fully agree with that.
I suppose I am not saying that we need more Robert House in the sense that add more Robert House scenes into the thing. I'm just saying only show us the Robert House scenes and, and not the scenes in which he's sitting around saying the same thing he's been saying for the past couple episodes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I actually generally think that most of the plots in this season are good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I feel like if this season sticks the landing, not only will I think it's better than season 1, but I feel like Fallout with 2 very consecutive good seasons, I will probably
start playing the games.
Yeah, I'll probably start playing I've always wanted to play the games. They've always looked super interesting, and especially hearing. I know you're the Fallout expert that I know best, or I guess that we know best. And just from what you've said, at least throughout watching the episodes of different places they go to and Easter eggs that they put in, it really feels like a show that's faithful to the fans and also even to people like me and Jesse who haven't played the games. And I really like what I'm seeing, and I'm actually wanting to play the games because I feel like the world is just so cool. Yeah, if this season really sticks the landing, I'll probably say this is the best video game adaptation that's been made. But I don't want to put it too far. But
don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, I think that's what I meant.
Yeah. No, well,
don't put all your Deathclaw eggs in one basket.
If they can fit in a basket.
You need a really big basket.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have anything more to say about these episodes or about what comes next?
Predictions?
What? Yeah. Let's do some predictions.
Ooh, that's a good one actually. I guess in terms of specifics, I don't really have anything specifically how things will pay off, but I'm assuming that, Maximus and Thaddeus are off. I'm wondering Maximus, now that he's freed from that stuff, was going to probably go and find Lucy because, at the end of season 1, repeated a few times, but, the role that he's given, he doesn't want. And through his journey of, being with Lucy, that's essentially, it seems like that's all he wants to do is be with her. And I'm assuming that's probably where they're going to take him. At least a little bit. They've done some things with him, but not a lot so far. And I'm sure the ghoul and Lucy are going to confront, Kyle MacLachlan's character, and I guess Hank, and
right.
Sure we'll get more insight into Robert House. I wonder if Norm's subplot will tie in there, since they are on the surface trying to find something.
Yeah, and I feel like everything does come together in New Vegas by the end of this show. I definitely see Maximus going to find Lucy. I see Norm also going, if not to find Lucy, then there. But I'd imagine that he is also here to find Lucy. I think the biggest question for me is, does Lucy stay addicted to drugs for the whole season?
I wouldn't assume so. I mean, maybe not the whole thing.
Maybe they might phase it. They might retcon that. I don't know.
Well, here's the question. How does addiction get cured in the games?
Atticol, but it's only temporary addiction. I think there's another one that cures it, or I think it just works differently in 4. But
Well,
point being,
there's a mechanic for it in the game, so they could, I guess, just write that in there.
Or she could just take more buff out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just stay addicted. I mean, she's also, I mean, this whole Deathclaw situation is really
Oh yeah, that
really got
yeah,
them in a pickle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got them in a bind.
Yeah.
Assuming they're gonna fight the Deathclaw in episode 5.
That-
That's probably the easiest prediction to make.
And hopefully they go inside the Lucky 38 to meet Robert House.
Do you think they'll have Justin throw an old makeup?
An old person.
Like old
maybe.
person makeup.
I guess we'll see.
I mean, if he's still in his cryopod, then
What form did he take in Fallout New Vegas?
in the game you can actually take him out of the cryopod. You can enter his antechamber, and he's just like some wrinkly old corpse man,
Oh, okay.
hooked up with a metal diaper and little wires in his head.
All right. Well, I hope in the coming episodes we get wrinkly old diaper man. Yeah. Do you have anything more to say?
I don't think so. At least not from me.
Maybe I'm excited to see how they'll explore the theme of everyone wants to save the world, but no one can agree on how to do it. They've made that very clear throughout this whole season, and I think they're going to explore that a lot more. I really like how much more in depth they put that theme out there, because it kind of ties into the main theme throughout the whole franchise, which is war, the rest. And I think it's a great addition to that I'm happy that they're exploring.
Yeah. I agree.
I do as well.
And I think they could build up that theme with the parallels now that we're getting a little bit of Cooper Howard in the war, the war that he actually fought in.
In Anchorage.
But then also the war that he's fighting after the war against his country and against his wife. It has a chance to be really, really interesting. And I'm really hoping they could pull some of the greatest 4 episodes I've ever seen,
Yeah.
This really, they've set it up well.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm really excited for the conclusion, especially given how well season 1 ended. Episode 8 of season 1, I think is fantastic. And a conclusion that works, not only that one that resolves the storyline, but also leaves enough things open to where just like, I'm satisfied that the overall story of the season is resolved, but also I can't wait to see season 2, which I feel like so many shows get so wrong. I mean, I know we talked about Alien Earth a few times, a show that really cuts the legs off of the finale. But if they can do that again in season 2, especially with the storylines that
And
they've set
Stranger
up.
Things, allegedly.
Yeah, I have seen Stranger Things. Yeah,
What,
there's a little bit of that.
But the secret episode, that's going to do it justice.
Yeah, the secret episode, because
The
majority.
real canon episode.
Yeah, because majority of the internet does not like the Stranger Things finale. I thought it was fine. But yeah, if they are able to conclude this season in a similar way to season 1 with the storylines that they set up, I am all for it. I can't wait to keep watching this show.
Well, with that being said, should we jump into Letterboxd plugs?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I am Threnv on Letterboxd. That is THRNV. I don't have reviews for Fallout up on my Letterboxd because it's a TV show and Letterboxd only does limited series. But I don't know. Maybe I have Scream 5 up by this point, the Radio Silence Scream. Review for that. I'm running out of things to plug on my Letterboxd. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Sorry. My Letterboxd is MJ Spiegel, all lowercase. That's MJSPIEGEL. I currently have a list up of every new release that I saw in 2025. There's 60 of those, so go ahead and check out that ranking. And then also, by the time this episode comes out, I'll probably have my most anticipated of 2026. By the time this comes out, I'm assuming both parts of all 3 of our most anticipated movies of the year will be out. I'm not going to be posting the full list of our combined list. It'll be my 25 most anticipated movies of 2026. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, and you can find me on Letterboxd at Invaded Films, INVADEDFILMS. Same thing as I have been saying, it is 2026. I will be putting up reviews for all the movies that we watch in 2025, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time on the End Times New Vegas, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3, to discuss whatever has happened in the Mojave Desert since this episode's release. Yeah.
You're right.
It's,
Thank you for tuning in. This is Radio New Vegas. I'm your host, Mr. New Vegas. And in case you're wondering if you come to the right place, you have. So stay tuned.
roll credits.